My career is 25 years long, and out of that, 18 have been in the UAE, 7 have been in the UK. And this video here, I'm going to tell you both sides of the story about my experiences in both countries so that you can get something to decide on for your future. Firstly, what I've realized is that we talk a lot in the UK about progressivism, right? We want to see that we're progressive as a society. The fact is, I don't see anyone progressing. We talk about that, but is anyone really in a better situation right now than they were, let's say, 5 years ago or 10 years ago? I don't see that. All I hear is people are losing their jobs. I see that life is getting expensive. I see that people are worried about their safety and their security. So we talk a lot about progressivism, but it's not actually happening. Progressivism is seeing that yourself in a better situation than you were previously. So we talk a lot, but we're not actually doing it. What I really think it is I think it's about power. I think it's about the people in power. It's about being able to get into power. It's about staying in power. So I just think it's a narrative that is very important to a lot of politicians to be able to say, you know what, here we are looking after you. Here we're taking care of you. They are the problem. It's always somebody else. So this whole idea that there is a bogeyman in the corner, whether it's immigrants or whether it's the rich, the fact is, it's like, no, the problem is nobody wants to give us the real truth about what is the situation, the fiscal problem, the fiscal deficit that we have, the huge ballooning debt that we have, and nobody wants to address it because that would mean losing votes. If right now, if we could get your vote, we want to tell you that we can help you to get more for you, but the reality is, it's like we have to have a tough conversation about the costs that are involved, and nobody wants to tell us the truth. The people that we elect are trying to move things around, but ultimately we're always every year, bit by bit, worse off every single year. And that's because the people in power want to stay in power. And this leads me to my next point, division and diversion. It's very convenient for the people in power to have us divided, because if we weren't divided, you wouldn't need a party to act on your behalf. If we were a united kingdom, then we wouldn't need politicians fighting for our side of the story. So we need to be divided by its very reason. And at the same time, it's also important for us to be diverted away from the underlying issues that we have. We know that the welfare state, the model is broken. We know that it can be abused. But the fact is that we're being told that the problem is wealthy people. The problem is immigrants. But the fact is, we do need immigrants. We do need people to come. If we're not having kids, we need people. And we also do need wealthy people because they create jobs. But the fact is, the narrative doesn't suit those two parties. And that's why traditional center parties are now not going to be in power anymore. Because look what's happened. We've realized the Conservative experiment didn't work. Before that was Labour. Now we're going back to Labour. And now we're going to see that Reform is going to come in, or it will be the Green Party. I can tell you, if it's Reform, it will be Green Party after, and vice versa. And so we're getting further separated, more and more divided. And the fact is, we're just being diverted from the real problem. Meanwhile, in the UAE, you've got absolute power. The irony of the situation is that it's not a democracy, it's an autocracy. One person's in charge. But I can tell you, if this was a business and you asked me to invest in the business, I'd be like, 100% I'm investing in this business. Clearly, I can see the upward trend. If you look at in the UAE, I came here 18 years ago. I wasn't the first person here. I wasn't the biggest pioneer, but there weren't too many people coming. Now, every man and his dog is coming here, and not just from the UK. Literally every country in the world, mainly from those countries where they're seeing that, especially Europe, for example, they're seeing that taxes and a kind of leaning towards socialism, it's not for everybody. And we'll see how that experiment pans out. I can see how it's going to pan out, and history will show us how it pans out. But you see here, somebody has absolute power, and some people don't like that. They want democracy and they want to have politicians. But here we don't have either of those things. And I think a lot of people would say, you know what, it's probably a good thing. It's interesting to see two young footballers such as Trent Alexander-Arnold or Jude Bellingham leave the UK and try to pursue their goals overseas and try and push themselves to a higher level, and to see a lot of the hate that they've been facing online. Sometimes it comes across as envy, sometimes resentment. I don't know what it is recently, but I've learned a lot, and it's interesting. They aren't the only young footballers who've moved overseas to pursue their careers. They're just the ones who are the highest profile or the most successful. And some of them have done well, and some of them they're struggling, Trent Alexander namely. But the fact is, people really like to see people fail. And I think it speaks a lot about the unfortunate general English and British attitudes towards success. And that's the funny thing about the division and diversion tactics that are going on in the UK. Here, we're not being diverted anywhere, and there isn't any division here. Everyone is literally united in the United Arab Emirates. And so in the end, we're all here for one purpose, which is to improve our life. And if you don't like it, you don't have to stay. You can leave at any time you want. Nobody's asking you to stay. It's almost in the UK, we're almost kind of being a little bit imprisoned in this great big open air prison where it's like, well, that's your property, so we'll tax that, and that's your business, so we'll tax that, and then and everything else comes from cars, and then parking fines, and then road taxes, and you name it. There's so many to count. Whereas in the UAE, it's a different structure entirely. And that leads me to the next point, which is PAYE, the pay as you earn, which you have in the UK, and pay as you play. Now, in the UAE, in Dubai, there's no taxes, but to get things done, it's going to cost. And there are fees and fees and fees. If you want to establish a business, you have to pay a fee. If you want to buy a property, you have to pay a trustee office. You'll have to pay the land department. If you want to drive on the road, you'll have to pay your SALIC, which is the toll road system. But if you don't want any of those things, then don't set up a business, don't buy a property, and then don't drive on those roads that have the SALIC on it. So ultimately, you're in full control. And I think that's the main thing that we have here, is that we have agency. We have agency to decide what we want. Whereas in the UK, we don't have any control. The government is in full control to take and to change the laws and to implement new laws. If they're going to do a digital ID, there's nothing you can do about it. There will be digital ID, but we don't have any control. And so therefore, as I keep coming to it, it feels like a bit like an open air prison that someone else is dictating your terms. The money hits your bank account from your salary, immediately the taxes are taken out. Whereas in the UAE, it's very much, you get all your money and then you decide how you want to spend it. And a lot of the services here, you will have to pay for it. Another example is insurance. So if you're a business owner here, it's mandatory to be able to provide insurance for all of your employees. So you can decide that if you want to have more employees, then guess what? You'll have to pay more insurance. But if you don't want to pay more insurance, then just get less employees, just recruit less people. But ultimately, your revenue will probably diminish as well. So guess what? You decide. But if you can scale down your business, you can also scale up your business. But ultimately, you have autonomy and agency over these decisions. Next up, dopamine or doldrums. I think it goes without saying, I've been here for 18 years, and coming from the UK, it's a grey place. We don't have the best weather in the world. London in the summer is the best place in the world, and anyone who's ever lived in London will tell you the same thing. The reason being is because it's grey for about 9-10 months of the year. So when you get 2 months, it's like being in a box. They open it up and you get some natural light, and then you love it. But it's not because you like the sun, it's because you've been deprived of the sun. And now I see in the UAE, well, guess what? It's sunny all year round, pretty much. For some people, that doesn't really work for them. Some people, they don't like that much sun. Okay, that's fine. But the fact is, it's a natural dopamine. And if that isn't for you, then also doing business is extremely, it's a very high-paced lifestyle. I found that it can be quite exhausting. And sometimes you want to go for a break and just, take some time off, as a lot of people do. But the fact is, it's a natural energy. It's a natural propulsion that makes you want to do something and be productive to society. Meanwhile, in the UK, we're in the doldrums. Essentially, everything we are seeing is bad news. It's bad news that we're seeing in the street. It's bad news on the TV. And people are forgetting, and I've noticed this recently, is that because I'm not there and I see my clients from all around the world, everybody around the world is seeing what the people in the UK are seeing, but they're seeing it from afar. So all those people there are seeing what's happening in the UK, and they're saying, you know what, I don't want to buy a house in the UK, or I don't want to set up in a business UK. I see what's happening in the UK, or I went there recently and I don't like that. It's very sad to say. Don't forget, I am a proud Englishman. But the fact is, the whole world can see what's going on as well. And I feel that this kind of negative narrative has actually overtaken. It's bad. It's not really bad. It is getting worse. Don't get me wrong. And I think we all know that's happening, definitely after this budget. But the fact is, everybody can see that. And so now we're in this kind of negative doom loop. I spoke about it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Less government versus more government. There is this, omnipresent presence of the UK government that is everywhere. We're going to take care of that for you, or we'll manage this for you. So you've got these policies that we're bringing into place where we want to be able to say, well, no child wants to be born poor. Well, of course not. We don't want any child growing up in poverty. But rather than actually say, you know what, if you do have kids, we will give you a tax credit on the money that you're making. We're not. What we're actually doing is saying, you know what, have more kids and we'll give you money for that. It doesn't take the smartest economists in the room to realize what's going to happen next. More kids, which means more kids being born in poverty, therefore being a drag on society. Why don't you just do it a slightly more common sense? But this is what's happening, is they want to have more people that the government is more responsible for to increase the role of government within society. Again, it's all coming towards socialism or even communism. But the fact is, in the UAE, it's very much less government, right? What I like about the UAE and what I found is that they don't give you fish. There's no handouts. I remember one client in COVID was complaining to me and he was like, yeah, the UAE government should give us something. Other countries give them benefits because of COVID. They give them stimmy checks and everything. I was like, well, what have you paid? You don't pay any tax. So why should you expect to get anything from the government? I mean, for a pretty intelligent guy and well-off guy, I was pretty surprised it would come up with such an argument. It's like the UAE has given us an opportunity. It doesn't ask for any tax. Therefore, don't expect them to give you a stimmy check either. But the fact is here, it's just like they don't give you fish. They teach you to fish. They give you the platform. It's the opportunity for you. Take it or leave it. If you want it, crack on with it. If you don't want to put in the effort and you don't want to put in the hard yards, no problem. Go to another country. So I like that. This kind of whole don't give me anything. I don't want anything. I want to be able to learn from myself. I remember when I left university, there was no jobs. So I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm going to have to get a unemployment check or something like that. So I went to the Dole office and I got the check. It was the most humiliating experience I've ever had in my life, and I haven't touched I haven't got anything for anyone. Even when I've been out of work and I had downsides and downtimes in my career, I didn't want anything. But don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that are all about trying to get that free money and then doing something else, usually illegal on the side or some kind of side hustle. So the fact is, that really depends on who you are. But I think ultimately there'll be people more than happy to go through the humiliating experience, knowing that they'll collect that money, whereas other people won't. But the fact is, I see more and more people taking that free handout rather than actually want to put in the hard yards just to earn just literally a little bit more than getting paid for doing nothing. Social mobility. So this is another one here. So we talk about that a lot, but there isn't any social mobility. We talk about equality in the UK, but what do we want to be? Do we want to be equally well off or equally poor? Because I only see that we're going to be equally poor. So if that's what you want, equality, then we're going to move in that direction, because we really are moving that direction, but we're just going to be all poor. And if you're all poor for all the same, then guess what? You don't have social mobility. And social mobility is what? It's aspiration. It's ambition. We need that. Who doesn't want to actually be something in their life? Who doesn't want to have pride? So I think that's another point that we need to work towards, is trying to make sure that we do have, unfortunately, not huge inequality, but some kind of inequality, so that there is not just the ambition and the aspiration, but there's also, what if I don't work really hard, I'll fall down the pecking order. So there needs to be a little bit of heat underneath us to be able to want to work. Talking of work, the government's called Labour. The irony of the fact that this government is called Labour, and yet the budget comes out and all it's doing is rewarding people for lack of labour, for not contributing to society. There's nothing that they talk about work or productivity in the budget whatsoever. There's not been any growth. They said it was going to be the government of growth. Where's the growth? No one's seen any growth. No, all we've seen is a budget which has increased tax hikes last year, and now we've got another one already. So the fact is that irony isn't lost. But the second thing is, again, we talk about labour. Labour is women giving birth. Sorry, people that give birth. We want to be politically correct. No, women that give birth. If we're talking about women that give birth, look at the policy that came out, the two-child cap. So what's going to happen is that they're going to give you more money for actually having kids. So all of this is just, honestly, it just looks really bad. It's not working. It's trying to increase the voting bloc of Labour government. That's what it is, clear and simple. Anyone who saw the budget, you'll see they want to breed Labour voters. So what we need to do is separate the workers from the shirkers. We need to have a government that wants to reward workers, that wants more workers. We don't want shirkers. We want providers and not poncers. We don't want people poncing off the state. We want providers. But unfortunately, we don't see that in any of the policy that's coming through. We're looking to reward people for not actually being a contributor to society. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Like, even parents don't want their kids sitting around doing nothing in the house, right? So why would a government want everyone in their workforce not to work? By the way, 1 in 4 people of working age in the UK are not working. 1 in 4%, that's 25%. So that's 1 in 4. After the Second World War, do you know what that rate was? It was 2%. So after everyone who'd been through the horrors of war, who maybe lost limbs in the process, or they had been traumatized and seen death all around them, came back and got back to work, 98% of them. 2% didn't or couldn't. Today it's 25%. What war have we had recently? And long COVID and ADHD and mental illness, we didn't have these things. Maybe now that they've got a term, it's easier for you to be able to say that you've got these things. I'm sorry to say that basically, like, it wasn't war. It wasn't war. It wasn't the horrors of war. So why have we got 25% of people of working age not working? And again, do the math. That means 75% of having to take care of all the people that are of working age not working. plus everyone in retirement. They've done their hard yards, they deserve it. And plus everybody else that is reliant on the state. So for example, those people who are incapacitated, or those people really incapacitated, not the fake incapacitated, the ones who are pouncing off the system, and the young people who are growing up. So this is a major problem. But again, no government wants to address it because it's a very big voting block. And that's the problem we have right now. It's too big to ignore. It's 10 million votes, right? 1 in 4 people of working age, 10 million people. If you want to get into power, you've got to tell those 10 people that their checks are going to be still getting paid. And that's the problem we have right now, is that people at work are kind of outnumbered. Meanwhile, in Dubai, you don't have a job. You don't have a labor contract. That means that you don't have a visa. Therefore, depending on your nationality, you've got a month, 2 months to figure it out. You've either got to set up a business, which happened a lot in 2009. A lot of people got laid off in work because of the global financial crisis. So a lot of people set up businesses because it was the only way for them to stay in the country. Today, a lot of people have businesses. A lot of those businesses have flourished, have grown, because it's a very tax-friendly place to grow your business. The government does put in place certain criteria to you to have to hire local people, or to be able to pay them a certain amount. And there's a lot of conditions in play, right? It's a lot more regulated than it was. But still, you are in full agency to do whatever you want. But the fact is, if you don't work and you're not contributing, then you can leave. And a lot of those people will leave. And a lot of people now, if you can't find a job, you're going to have to leave. But that's not the same in the UK, because those people can stay. Those people that aren't working get to stay. And guess what? They'll even receive something as well. And this is going to come to the next point. Immigration, a business that I have been working in for over 15 years. So I understand very well immigration. I understand how governments work. I understand how policy works. I understand how economies work, right? Because I've been doing this myself from when it was just me to now we're 75 plus people. We process thousands of applications every year for a particular segment of client in particular countries. Now, the main thing you have to understand about the UK is something that you would only really understand if you were not British. So zoom out a little bit. I am from the UK, but I have traveled around the world. I've traveled to almost 100 countries. I have residencies in multiple countries. I have multiple nationalities. Yes, it is possible to be British and something else. But what I can tell you is that when you look outside into the UK has one of the most desirable passports in the world, right? It's a very powerful travel document that gets you into a lot of countries without visas. After Brexit, not so much, but still in the grand scheme of things. Second of all, it's the easiest language to learn to be able to obtain that nationality. So the UK has a major head start to be able to dictate the terms on who it wants to bring in the country. But instead of saying, you know what, we have the most desirable nationality in the world, we have a very generous welfare system, probably arguably too generous and too easy to abuse. But we also have a language that everyone pretty much learns in the whole world. English is the most commonly spoken language in the world. So why do we let in 900,000 people every year over the last few years? Between 400,000 and 900,000. You didn't have to do that. You could have charged those people to come in. You could have been able to kick them all out if they didn't play by the rules. You didn't even have to give them any handouts until after 5 years. There would still be a massive queue of people to come in. So why did we do that? Meanwhile, in the UAE, you don't get the passport. I only know a few people who have got the passports, and they have contributed enormously to the country. But you're not coming here for the passport. You're coming for the opportunity. The UAE will it will let you pay no taxes. You have 9% corporate tax, right? Which doesn't apply to everyone. You have certain exemptions and certain thresholds, but 9% corporate tax, no VAT, no income tax, no capital gains tax, nothing. So what they're saying is like, we're not going to give you the nationality, but we won't charge you taxes. Meanwhile, in the UK, we give you the easiest language test to pass in the world. You've got the benefits, and you get the passport at the end of it. It's way too incentivizing for anyone around the world to come to the UK, and there's really no need for it. The people will come anyway because they know that, okay, fine, I'm gonna have to deal with being in the UK, and I'm gonna have to pay the taxes. Okay, fine. So don't give them the benefits. Come, pay your taxes, pay your way to a passport. Why don't we do this? You look at other parts in the world, they have language tests that are after 10 years. In the UK, it's 5. You have languages that are almost impossible to learn. Greek, for example. But for us, it's super easy to learn. You've got countries like here where they won't give you any benefits. So in the end, it's like, but we're going to give them benefits. It's way too attractive for the average person, the average immigrant to go to the UK. The UAE, we're not going to give you anything at all. We'll give you a platform to build here. We're not going to take any taxes. And then after that, you decide whether you make it or you don't make it. It's really sink or swim. Immigration and integration. right? So while in the UK, we're all getting twisted up about immigration and everything that's going on. I already addressed that just now. But the fact is, it's like you can have immigration. You just need to have integration and alignment. What happens in the UAE is that we vastly outnumber the local people, and yet we're fully aligned in moving forward in the country as a united nation, right? Which we don't have in the UK. And the reason being is because you have illegal and legal immigration. Here in the UAE, we know that anyone who's come in has been vetted, right? So we know that everyone here is legal, just like I am. But we also know those people are respecting the laws. We also know those people are contributing. Meanwhile, in the UK, you can move there, find your own little group, your little community of people from your own culture. You can stick in there. You don't have to integrate with anybody else. It wasn't like when I was in the UK. In the UK, like, I went to East London. I used to live in East London. I went to university in East London. We all came from ethnically diverse backgrounds. We all play football together. We all study together, and it's all great. But the UK right now, people come and they just don't even integrate into society. And that creates resentment. So you've got those people that don't integrate, that don't respect the local laws of the land or the local culture. And then you've got the people who are already there saying, these are people who just don't even integrate into my society. And so you need integration, but you can't have that when you've got 900,000 people coming in waves and waves of people to a country that has a population of around 60, 65 million people. So here, integration, we're all here together, we all understand, we all want to respect the laws, and we all got one ambition, which is to basically make sure that our life here is better than where we came from. In the UK, we don't have that. We've got two separate, diverse groups of people. We've got the people who are coming, who don't want to integrate, and the people who don't want them to be there. This is the irony of the situation. Those are the main observations I've had after 18 years of living in the UAE. This country has given me enormous opportunity. And I know that there will always be people that don't like the UAE, but honestly speaking, no one really cares. Now, when you look at the state of the UK, you're going to have to start looking after yourselves right now and decide what's best for you. For you, it might not be here. It might be Cyprus, it might be Spain, it might be Malta, it might be Australia, any country in the world. But you can't just sit there and just watch what's happening helplessly while all agency is being taken from your hands, while all opportunity has been taken away. People are leaving all the time. You can see people are leaving. Nothing's going to happen in the short term, unfortunately. I think the more time that, and by the way, it's not just Labour, it's previous governments. It's been, I'm just apolitical. I just see governments, nothing really changes. I voted once, I think it was in my 20s, and I was like, well, I didn't make any difference. And nothing's got better since. Everyone can agree that it's only deteriorated, and it's accelerating. The deterioration is accelerating since COVID. So make some tough decisions. I think even the most ardent Labour supporter, if they're having kids, they're telling their kids, leave, go and move overseas. And you know that this is true, unfortunately. But the fact is, the United Kingdom is a divided kingdom. I'm not saying the United Arab Emirates is for everybody. I can definitely, my hand on my heart, say that it has truly transformed my life. It has given me so much cultural experiences, not just in the UAE, but around the region. I mean, you can travel to places, amazing countries with a 3-hour flight. You can go skiing in Georgia. You can go safari in Kenya. You can go snorkeling and scuba diving in the Maldives. UK, look, Europe is great, but Europe is also having a lot of problems. But the fact is, this country has given so much opportunity. Some people, it gave them less opportunity. Some that got even more opportunity there for me. But I believe in geographic mobility, which is what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about wealth mobility, the ability to accrue wealth. And most importantly, I'm talking about social mobility, about being able to do something with your life. It is finite. You don't have that much time. And when I look in the UK, I just see thousands of people leaving. If Dubai is the place that you want to come to, I'll be launching a new business in the new year, which is going to try in some way share my personal experiences and my network to help those people just coming out, try and get the best out of the country that they can, contribute to the society here. But in the meantime, this video has been a very personal one for me because obviously I'm British, but obviously I've built a lot in the UAE, but I really want people to learn that there's so many opportunities out there in the world, and countries compete for talent and capital. So if you've got either of those or both of those, just broaden your horizons, travel the world, explore, and maybe you'll start something, and maybe you'll look back and realize, just like I did, that it was the best decision to make in your life. Thank you for watching. This is Millionaire Migrant. I'll be talking more about this topic because it's very personal to me and I have a lot to share. As you can tell by my gray hair, I've got a lot of stories. See you in the next video.